Yellowstone National Park, welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
This week we poke the hornet's nest and ask, is it safe to cycle with headphones in?
We've also got some fantastic cycling skills on display at the Weird World Championships with cycle ball and artistic cycling.
And of course we've got all of your regular favourites, the best tech of the week and more questionably perhaps hack/bodge.
Yeah, and you'll have noticed that Lasty is back as well. Where have you been, mate?
You don't want to know. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that the cyclist's fuel of choice, we're not talking about carbohydrates, we are of course talking about coffee, is actually beneficial to your health. That's right. Up to 3 cups a day can help to reduce your risk of heart disease,
Diabetes,
liver disease,
dementia,
and some cancers.
Yeah, and remember that if you drink coffee and ride your bike, you can of course have your cake and eat it as well.
Win-win.
Is that ginger cake, that one?
We also learnt that if you want to find the most skillful cyclist on the planet, you have to look way beyond Peter Sagan. That's right, indoor cycling is where it's at.
You mean like Zwift? We also learned last week that riding with headphones is a controversial topic. Now, we mentioned it briefly in the show, and the comment section totally lit up, even more so than the subject of whether or not you should emulate Chris Froome, or even whether or not it should be called the full Froomey at all.
More on that later, but we thought we should try and tackle the issue of headphone use while cycling head on. Some cyclists absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Some cyclists hate it.
Yeah.
Others then think it's tantamount to suicide.
Exactly. Now, we should probably start by saying actually that in some places, riding with headphones in is actually just illegal. So several states in the US ban it outright, and then others stipulate you can only have one headphone in whilst riding. So presumably that would be a beat as opposed to beats, right, Tom?
Yeah, I suppose it would, Si. But from the start of this, there's actually no evidence that riding with headphones in increases your risk of an accident. Now, this might just be because there isn't a lot of evidence out there, but could the danger also be that we're putting our perception of common sense ahead of facts?
Well, it's a good question, isn't it? So let's look for some facts. Firstly, I think it's worth saying that there are actually no restrictions placed on people who are deaf or have hearing impairments as to whether or not they can actually drive cars or ride bikes. So is it therefore safe to assume that actually there is no danger to a loss of hearing at all?
Well, that does sound a fair assumption on the face of it, but I think that someone who lives with a hearing impairment day to day, I think that's a totally different situation to someone who might be distracted by very loud music and blocking outside sounds for an hour of their commute.
That's true, but you'd have to think, wouldn't you, that if there was a genuine risk to a lack of hearing, there would be some kind of restriction in place. So maybe actually it's not about the sound itself, but maybe about what you're listening to, what type of music is coming through your headphones.
Well, we can actually look into that because there is a lot of research out there about whether music helps you to concentrate.
There is. In fact, one paper in particular in The Neuroscientist.
Which is one of my favourites.
Yeah, I thought you subscribed to that one. Anyway, this particular paper said that we have 2 different attention systems, okay? So we've got a conscious one, which we use for focusing on specific tasks, like operating a camera. Right, John? John? Thanks. And also an unconscious one, so where we actually rely on our subconscious to alert us of anything significant that might be going on, like a presenter talking.
Not sure that's really significant.
No, okay, fair enough, that's a stretch, but yeah.
The researchers did go on to point out, though, that music is actually really good for filtering out your unconscious attention. So a good thing if you're sat in your open plan office trying to filter out the ambient noise, but perhaps a less good thing if you're cycling home past cars and trucks.
Well, it's true, but is there anything to say actually that we need that kind of subconscious hearing that was probably helpful when we were cavemen, but actually, is it helpful to a hipster riding a bike? Even though, funnily enough, actually the two can look quite similar.
What's wrong with beards?
Well, there is a question about whether cycling is the subject of your focus or whether you kind of cycle automatically, so you'd be using your subconscious as well.
Yeah, so you mean that if you focus on cycling, then music can actually help you to concentrate, whereas if you cycle on autopilot, then actually music could well be robbing you of those important kind of subconscious senses. That's interesting, actually, isn't it? Very interesting. There's also a real personal element to this as well. Again, research has shown that the way people react to music is very different. Some people find that it helps them to concentrate, whereas other people actually find it a massive distraction.
Yeah, and if you are listening to music, volume is, of course, a factor.
Yeah.
There is a reason that many car stereos lower their volume when you are reversing.
Yeah, and also the type of music that you listen to as well. So, whilst Mozart allegedly makes you smarter, I think there is no denying that ambient techno is great for concentration.
Low volume, ambient techno to make cycling more fun.
There we go. Research has shown. Now, Tom, there is inevitably a curveball here. So, according to a recent article in the Journal of Otolaryngology...
Otolaryngology, that's, one of my... No, you lost me, what is it?
So, apparently it's ear, nose and throat medicine. So, according to this article, people have done a load of research into noise levels whilst commuting. Now, it focused on public transport, but it also had private transport as well. And it showed that cyclists are exposed to higher noise levels than people who drive to work, which kind of common sense, I guess, but also, weirdly, compared to pedestrians.
That is weird. I was not expecting that.
No, exactly. And in fact, the noise levels that cyclists experience are so high that the authors of the article actually suggest that cyclists would benefit from hearing protection.
That is strange. That is very strange.
Yeah, exactly. And they then went on to say that actually perhaps the answer would be segregated bike lanes on quieter roads rather than actually cycling around with earplugs. But it definitely makes you think.
Yeah, I think we'd all love more segregated bike lanes, but it's interesting to note that the maximum volume observed in the study was 123 decibels, which if you compare it to the maximum volume of your iPhone headphones, it's around 100 decibels.
Yeah, so I guess then that it shows that even if you had headphones in, actually you'd still hear the loud noises anyway, right?
Yeah, you'd definitely be hearing the loudest of them.
Yeah, okay then. So statistically, we can find no reason why headphones make cycling more dangerous. You can kind of imagine why the debate gets so polarised, can't you then, when there seems to be this personal element to it. So your personal response to music, for example.
Yeah, definitely, and also how attuned your subconscious system is when cycling.
Yeah. Okay, let's get some handy hints. And this being GCN, there's got to be some tips going on. So what about if you want to listen to music but you don't want headphones in? What can you do then?
You can try bone conducting headphones. There might be a slight sound quality trade-off there. You can try a helmet like a Senna helmet with external speakers. And if you want to go all out,
bike-mounted boomboxes. Oh yes, we featured them on the show a couple of weeks back. This seems like the perfect opportunity to bring them back. Genius.
So cool. Bike-mounted boomboxes have to be the oral version of a high-vis jacket.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Or you could just take it right up to 11 with this. The bike piano. Okay, Tom, seriously now, do you ride with headphones in?
I no longer ride with headphones in, and I can't see myself starting to ride with headphones in the future, but a few years ago I would wear headphones on long rides from time to time.
Yeah, I never have done actually. Partly because I just don't really like listening to music when I ride. Fine, it makes time go slower, and when I was actually counting down the hours, then that was a problem. And also I don't like having my sound cut off. Maybe I'm still a caveman at heart. But what about you guys? We want to know what you think about the issue of headphones. Very simply, we're going to have a vote. Yes to headphones or no to headphones. Click up there. Is it up there?
It's going to be up there.
It's up there. Yeah, it's up there.
It's time for the cycling shorts.
Let's start cycling shorts with news of a cycling jersey.
That's right, because there's been a seismic shift in pro cycling kit stakes, and that's because Team Sky are swapping their trademark black for white.
Now, they have dabbled with white kit in the past,
They
most
have.
notably at the Tour de France this year. I think the important question is, what about the shorts?
That's right. Tom, they're looking black. They're looking black. Thank goodness for that. Let's hope that they stay that way, because white shorts, they're just not that nice, are they? I mean, just ask Mathieu van der Poel, for example. He's having to wear them at the moment.
And arguably wearing them in a muddy race is better than just wearing them in a wet road race.
Well, yeah, I suppose there's an element of camouflage there, isn't there, for your butt crack?
Sticking indirectly with Team Sky and following our suggestions the other week, or at least possibly following our suggestions the other week, new UCI President David Lepassion has floated the idea of a budget cap for men's cycling teams.
He has. Now, he's also said that actually it would probably be difficult to implement, but I think it's good that this idea is on the table. The concept behind it is that mega budget teams would be prevented from effectively buying up all the talent available and therefore being able to strangle races.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting proposition. Onto cycling safety now. There's some good news from the UK, which is following, or not directly following our show last week, but despite our show the other week about registration plates on bikes, there is no intention for that to become law in the UK.
We can't claim that that was us, can we really?
Not. But the bad news is that despite that, there is one place in the UK where it is going to become a rule.
Yes. So there is a school in Surrey, which is a county just outside of London, where the headmaster is actually going to make it compulsory for any pupil that wants to cycle to school to actually have a number plate on their bike. The idea being that they will be able to be tracked to make sure they are cycling responsibly, wearing a helmet, wearing high vis, all that kind of shenanigans.
I don't disagree with cycling responsibly, and helping people to cycle more responsibly is an admirable goal, but I can't have a feeling that there's an overstep here and they're creating legislation where there doesn't need to be any.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, the headmaster maybe needs a reminder that actually physical inactivity in young people is a strong predictor of adulthood obesity and all the many problems that come with that. And actually, weirdly, there was some research that came out here in the UK, a small piece of research, so I think it kind of needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. But anyway, it showed that actually there was a negative effect on accidents from wearing high vis, i.e. that it kind of made things worse. Which is a bit weird, isn't it? But anyway, there you go. It was science, apparently.
That does sound very strange. On to some very positive news now. Last week we showed you the Detroit de Race Velodrome, the recently discovered or recently rediscovered Detroit de Race Velodrome.
And very well mowed as well, I think you remember.
And plenty of you chipped in the comments to let us know there was actually a cyclocross race happening there this very weekend. And here it is. Before we leave cycling shorts for the week, a quick update on where we got to with two very controversial positions last week. The Froomey and the Ewan.
That's right. Very mixed bag of comments left under the video. Some of you saying that, you reacted with absolute fear, the thought that some people might be doing that out in the open road. Others of you have very successfully tried to emulate them. Now, this comment in particular, I did have a little chuckle from. It's from Slow Schwinn. He said, "My brother does the Froomey just about every ride with me. Drives me nuts. I give him plenty of room. But the funny thing is that most of the time, while getting back on the saddle, his knee knocks off his light. What a goober." Genius. So there we go. Slow Schwinn's brother. Sort it out, mate. Sort it out.
I like that a lot. This one, though, shed some new light on it, and it is from Lightning Lambert. Lightning says, "Hey guys, really need to put something straight about the Froome Tuck. Its real name is the Tim Tuck, after my teammate who first came up with it.
Yeah.
I then started doing it, and only the two of us could do it at that point. We were racing in Hawaii at the time. I hit a top speed of 76 miles per hour on the Big Island while in the Tuck. This all started back in 1982, for the brakes. When I do the Tuck today and someone always says, 'Hey, you're doing the Froome Tuck,' I always tell them that we were doing the Tuck before Froome was born. Thanks for a great job."
Well, there we go. Maybe this could get us out of a bit of a situation, because you see, every time we talk about the full Froomey, people always point out in the comments, rightly so, that actually Sagan did it first, and then Kwiatkowski did it before him, and that Matej Mohoric did it before that. But now, according to Lightning Lambert, his teammate Tim did it first, and so maybe the answer is it's actually just the Tim Tuck. It will hereby be known on GCN as the Tim Tuck from now on.
Timmy Tuck?
Done. A quick update on World Bicycle Relief Week here on GCN. We've been utterly overwhelmed by the response so far. You have generously donated enough money to buy 67 Buffalo bikes, which is already over half of the total that we raised last year, which is absolutely bonkers and brilliant. And bear in mind, we haven't even released any of our special World Bicycle Relief videos yet.
Yeah, incredibly generous stuff. But this week is when we're going to have our big push. And today, of all days, is Giving Tuesday. So it's a really good time to start thinking about any donations that you might want to make. To donate to World Bicycle Relief, there is a link down in the description. And keep your eyes on the channel throughout the week when we'll have all four of Dan's videos that he made with World Bicycle Relief in Zambia on the channel.
Yeah, and at this time of year as well, thanks to generous support from partners of World Bicycle Relief, any donation that is made will be matched 1-to-1, so it is doubly important. Definitely the right time.
Ventoux Cycles, which you might remember from founder Tom Donough's land speed record on a bicycle attempt a few years back, have released their latest frame, and it's a gravel or cross bike.
Yeah, I really like this one, mate. So it's handmade in steel, and it's reportedly the first frame to feature a 3D printed steel lug, which you can see around the seat tube cluster there. It's available in two guises, a cyclocross guise or a gravel guise. Apparently the difference is subtle tweaks to the geometry.
Which I think is a very good thing, because although the terrain that you might ride a gravel bike and a cross bike on is pretty similar, their uses are so different.
I wonder how different they'd feel to ride, actually. I wouldn't mind giving that a go. Just, like, could you tell the difference between a cross bike and a gravel bike?
Blind test, just tape it all out. No hint that it's a gravel bike or a cross bike.
Yeah, there we go. Right, Tom, if you're listening, you know what to do. Right, there's also another Tech of the Week worthy mention. This is from Schindelhauer, their new Gustav city bike. Now, it actually won a Eurobike Gold Award back in August. And we actually caught a sneak peek of it back in July when we visited the, I've got to say, achingly cool Schindelhauer HQ in Berlin. Possibly the coolest place I've ever been. Now, the Gustav is kind of a slightly reimagined city bike. It's got 27.5 inch wheels, internal hub gearing, and brilliantly, it's got a slightly lower price as well.
Very tenuously linked to a Eurobike Gold Award. One of my favourite custom bikes of the winter, not of the year, but of the winter, is Elio Viviani's Bling Gold track bike that he's been using at the Gent 6.
Yeah, very
that thing
nice
stands
looking
out,
bike.
very cool.
It does, yeah. All right, one last gold thing. I just wanted to do a quick update about the John Canning's paraffin wax chain. Okay, so in the video that we released on Monday a couple of weeks back, I was a little bit ambivalent about wax chains, but I've put more kilometres on it, and I must say, I'm really grown to like it, okay? So, pretty average riding conditions here in the UK at the moment. The bike is filthy, but the chain is still spotless. It's still gold, which I don't like, but it is spotless, and actually, it doesn't sound that bad at all. I'm thinking I quite like it, mate. Racing news this week should probably be renamed, actually, because most of the biggest competitions weren't racing at all. It was actually the Indoor Cycling World Championships in Austria.
First up was the bicycle gymnastics or artistic cycling. Now, evidently I'm not really going to know where to start with this one.
Not our area of expertise, is it, Tom?
But Germany's Milena Slupina won the solo women's category on her first ever time competing at the event, whereas in the 4 open class, Switzerland took victory for the second year in a row.
Yeah, and it wasn't just artful cycling or bike gymnastics, was that right?
Artful, artistic?
Oh yeah, artistic cycling. Yeah, it was also cycle ball. Oh yes, and in that, Germany just edged out the home nation Austria in the finals. Brilliant. If you actually want to see any more of the Indoor Cycling World Championships, then the UCI channel on YouTube has got loads of the stuff, so well worth checking out. Now, the cyclocross season also continues apace. There was another round of the World Cup. This time, a very muddy Germany greeted the riders. Some were more enthusiastic than others, judging by some of the comments that were to be found on social media.
I loved it though, Si. Oh, I loved watching it at least.
Me too.
Has to be said that along with a lot of running, there was also a lot of crashes in the mud.
There were, but don't worry, guys. Happens to the best of us, crashing in cyclocross. It's just inevitable.
So I'm pausing now for a clip of your crash?
No, there'll be no clips now.
Okay.
No clips now.
Anyway.
Jokes. Oh! Oh no! Oh, he's got it! He's got it on camera. Massive crash.
In the women's race, Sanne Kant took victory with a supreme display of technical riding in very difficult conditions ahead of Helen Wyman and Katie Compton.
Yeah, and you'll all be pleased to hear as well that Maud Capdeens was back in action after a, well, frankly, severe case of the GCN curse.
And evidently we were also pronouncing her first name wrong too, so apologies for that, Maud.
Yeah, really sorry. First and surname's wrong. That's bad even by our standards, isn't it? Now, in the men's event, Mudman Wout van Aert took his first World Cup victory of the season, breaking the dominance of Mathieu van der Poel in World Cups so far this season. It has to be said, Van der Poel did suffer a mechanical, but he didn't manage to close the gap to van Aert at all, even though he did manage to salvage second place on the day.
Toon Aerts rounded out the podium in third, and for me, so it's going to be interesting to see if there's now going to be a shift of power in elite men's cyclocross from one van to another van. Van Aert has typically, or at least in previous seasons, has held the edge in the running races and in the muddier races over Van der Poel, and so far, even including a bit of Van der Poel's mechanical misfortune, that's been the case in 2017.
Yeah, as the weather turns, more muddy races, More Van Aert victories?
Mudman.
Yeah. Also, can Sana
Can Sana what?
keep winning? Or can't she? Well, one thing is for certain, Tom. We've got a wattage bazooka to award. And this week, it goes to Wout van Aert for taking his first World Cup victory of the season. Despite the mechanical of Mathieu van der Poel, it has to be said, I think he was in a league of his own and well deserves this. Wattage bazooka! You thought I'd forgotten, didn't you? You did, yeah.
I did think you'd forgotten as well.
Yeah, never.
This week's viewer wattage bazooka goes to Jeremiah Sullivan, who took on the Dirty Dozen, a selection of really awful hills in Pittsburgh, on a heavy city high bike. Fair play, Jeremiah.
Yeah, he said he managed to get up 11 of them without putting a foot down, which is bonkersly good. And then he said severe quad cramps had him struggling up the last two.
I imagine they did.
Yeah. Hey, mate, do you fancy having a go at that?
Do I have? Yeah, I'm going to have to, aren't I?
Thumbs up if you think Lasty should do the Pittsburgh Dirty Dozen. You've got a year to train, mate. You'll be fine.
This is all I thought it was the top.
It's time now for hack/bodge of the week. Now, we're going to start with a bit of a celebrity hack/bodge. Now, this one, slightly shaky photograph, clearly taken the morning after a big night. Hey, Dan. We can see bar ends mounted on bar ends. And then if we look to another photograph, that's right, cycling celebrity Graham O'Brien. This is his town bike. Brilliantly, he's still rocking the Superman position. Banned by the UCI, but not by the traffic authorities. There he is. What a legend of the sport. Graham O'Brien getting mega aero on his town bike.
Sticking with town bikes, we got this very detailed, I don't know if it's a hack or a bodge yet, but it's from David Couthotil, who says, this is how I commute to the office without carrying a backpack. And he sent in a little infographic.
I think that's a hack, mate. The infographic's a hack.
I love the effort.
Commuting to work without a backpack, with all that stuff on it, that's a hack too.
Spare cash in his bar end, that's backfired for me before. I had spare cash in a drop handlebar bar end because I thought I was going to get dropped in a race in Belgium. And at the end of the season, when I went to give the bike back to the team, I couldn't get my 20
Ah, mate, that's the bummer. I like the fact that he's got a wrap in a steel bottle cut, a new lid added. He's got his lunch, like a special bike lunch, a wrap. That's genius. Well, fair play. That's definitely a hack. Right, we've got this one from Dr. Love. Brilliant. Although not entirely sure you've sent us much here. Revolutionising bike repair stands by hanging your bike off a doorknob and having to take a pedal off in the process.
Because then you can pedal it. So you can, you can still pedal it and like check the gears and stuff.
But he's got to take a pedal off. Mate, that's a bodge.
It's a bodge.
Sorry, Dr. Love. That is a proper bodge.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh! Pob sent in this one. He just led with GCN hack, put it right out there, and then said, in fairness, it was just to get me home today as I got caught in the first real rain of the season in Dublin.
I love that.
That's a hack.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great
hack.
hack. Do you think those are the disposable gloves that you get from petrol stations? Or do you think you just had those in
If
his
they're the
saddlebag?
disposable gloves you get from petrol stations, that makes it even more of a hack for me, because that just shows this ingenuity, making use of what's available.
It's flipping freaky looking at that photo as well, isn't it? There we go. Cracking hack there from Peter. This one, no, I'm not feeling this one. No knee warmers, get some old socks and cut the toes off. That's frankly revolting. I'm sorry. No, I'm not having that. You've also either got really skinny legs or massive socks. Lloydie could wear them actually, but actually you probably could too.
We'd rather he didn't.
Yeah. No, I'm not feeling that. That's a bodge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Phil. We've got this one from Splashes of Plastic, who sent in, sorted out a little 3D printed chain guard to stop my dirty chain messing up the car when driving back from a ride. I think there's a lot of effort gone into that.
Yeah.
Possibly too much for the sort of thing it's doing, but I think it's cool nonetheless.
I think it's really cool. A lot of people with access to 3D printers doing some cool stuff. Fair play. That is another hack, that one. Do you know what he needs, Tom? He needs a chain keeper.
He does.
Without doubt, 100% needs a chain keeper as well.
Dan Lloyd could not have said it better himself.
All right then, lastly, we've got this one, which comes under that heading of terrifying bodges. This is a pair of extra handlebars taped to a pair of normal handlebars, and the commenter, who was El Retardo87, said, I saw this today. They said they wanted to try flat bars for a bit before swapping. Well, hopefully they get a chance to swap and they're not actually critically injured.
Like you said, that is terrifying, because just to correct your intro slightly, the extra bars are in fact attached to the bike, whereas the bars with all of the controls on are attached via toe straps. So, yeah.
Don't try that at home, ladies and gents. That's
Don't even think about trying
terrifying. No, but do send in any more hacks or bodges that you either create, that you make, or that you find or you spot around the world. Send them in to GCN using hashtag GCN Hack on most forms of social media.
We've got a fantastic giveaway for you this week because thanks to our sponsors Park Tool, we've got 5 sets of bike cleaning gear. So you get Park Tool's chain cleaner and you also get a Park Tool brush set, which is pretty much essential for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, we're jealous of you and you should probably clean your bike. Anyway, details on how to enter and the link are down in the description.
Everyone needs to clean their bikes, Tom. Caption competition time now. We give you a funny photo. You write in captions. We choose the best one. The winner gets a GCN Camelback water bottle. Now, first up, we've got the results of last week. We gave you this photograph of Alberto Contador. The winner, after much searching through the comments, was this from Job Hermans. After being done with cycling, El Pistolero has started shooting things off his bucket list.
Cracking caption.
Genius.
Deserved.
Well done, Job.
This week's caption competition photo is of German cyclocross champion Marcel Meissen at the bottom of a very muddy descent at a recent cyclocross race.
Yeah. Shall I give it a go?
You had a really good one when we were practicing.
Practice. See what you did there, Tom. Fooling the viewers. Matt Stevens made it look so easy in 7 magnificent ways to mount your bicycle. That's poor, isn't it?
It is poor.
Sorry about
You can
that,
definitely
everyone.
beat it. Comment below with your caption competition efforts.
Before we wade into what's coming up on the channel this week, firstly, a few choice comments that you left under last week's videos.
Dan's hair was causing some serious controversy, and we thought maybe it had been a windy walk to the office. Austin James, however, was a little less kind and made the point under this our Christmas gift video. Austin said, someone should have got Dan a comb or a hairbrush.
Well, yeah. To be fair, it was an unorthodox hairstyle sported by Dan, but going back, if you pardon the pun, to his roots, if you remember Lloydie's hairstyle circa 2013, it's not a million miles away. Yeah, fashion goes in cycles, doesn't it? I think so. Yeah, no, it does. Seriously, no, that wasn't a pun either. Right, okay, moving swiftly on to this one. Under the Power Breakfast Smoothie video, Hayden Reed said the restraint of this man, referring to Chef Hayden Groves, not to give the blender a burst when Simon goes in for a sniff is unbelievable. Yes, to be fair, I hadn't even thought about that, but that would have been bloody funny, wouldn't it? Green Goblin all over my face. Who would want that?
How was it working with a professional as a co-presenter?
Well, remarkably smooth, actually. It has to be said.
Smoothie, yeah.
Oh, what another one.
No.
Mate, you're on fire. Come on.
Anyway, coming up on the channel this week, on Wednesday we've got winter commuting hacks. On Thursday, as promised, it's going to be one of our World Bicycle Relief videos. And on Friday, it's Ask GC Anything.
Yeah, Saturday we are back in the kitchen again. No smoothie all over my face that time either. Does that sound dodgy? No, it's not dodgy. On Sunday, we've got a double header for you actually. We were at the Zwift finals, so where one lucky person got to sign a pro contract. We were there, so there's a video coming out. And also, we've got the video behind that rather embarrassing cyclocross crash. Running versus riding and GCN versus GTN. Make sure you check that one out. Then Monday, we are back in the maintenance set with more Maintenance Monday.
And on Tuesday,
Welcome to the GCN Show from Stockholm, Sweden.
it's time now for Extreme Corner. And this week, it's a very special preview of something that our mates at GMBN have got coming up later in the week. It's a man, not a fat man, but a man in a fat suit on a fat bike doing flips. That was fat.
Yeah, nice work, Blake. Now, if you were lucky enough to get your hands on some of our limited edition Black Friday goodies, then they will be winging their way to you this week. We did warn you that the Black Friday sale would end on the Monday afterwards, and indeed it did. But if you head over to the GCN shop, then there are still a few outlet sales going on, so definitely well worth a look.
Definitely. We will link those up in the description. we're at the end of the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, all you need to do is to click on our logo, which is on screen right now. And if you'd like to check out some more videos, I highly recommend the Elite Factory Tour, which is right here.
Yeah, that was super cool. Very interesting place. And then also we spoke a little bit ago about the Power Smoothie Breakfast. Definitely worth checking that one out. It's just down there.
There's a link to that outlet store on screen too.